emergency. I need an ambulance. My baby's not breathing.
For the convicted child killer Kathleen Folbigg have lodged a
Folbigg is serving a 40-year sentence over the deaths of her 4 children.
An inquiry into the conviction of Australia's worst female serial killer, Kathleen Folbigg.
She's been petitioning for a review of her case, arguing the medical evidence was flawed.
My friend Kath is a good woman. I mean, it's horrible to look at the media and see the titles of Australia's worst serial killer, child killer.
Although a visit to the Clarence Correctional Centre in northern New South Wales has become a weekly ritual for Tracy Chapman, she's never gotten used to the idea her childhood friend Kathleen Folbigg is a convicted killer.
We're coming up to 18 years since 2003 when she was incarcerated, and we've got more answers now about what's happening and had happened than we've ever had before. In terms of whether I've ever thought Kath killed her children, the person I know would never have done that.
Look at the camera. Turn on top of the television.
Folbigg was found guilty of smothering her 4 children to death over a 10-year period in the 1990s. Tracy has never doubted her friend's innocence, and today some of the country's top scientists weighed in, calling for her release.
I believe there has been a miscarriage of justice.
Kathleen Folbigg's first child, Caleb, was born in 1989. He died 19 days later. Her second child, Patrick, was 8 months old when he died in 1991. 2 years later, another child, Sarah, died when she was 10 months old. In 1999, her 4th child, Laura, also died. She was 19 months old. All died suddenly in their sleep. In 2003, Folbigg was convicted over their deaths on 3 counts of murder and 1 count of manslaughter. She was sentenced to a minimum 25 years behind bars. 2 appeals failed.
As the verdict was read to the court, Kathleen Folbigg held her head in her hands and wept.
In 2015, Folbigg's lawyers called for a review into her conviction based on the findings of forensic pathologist Professor Stephen Cordner.
The expert evidence should be reconsidered based on the scientific and medical advances since 2003.
A judicial inquiry began in 2018 and ultimately upheld her conviction.
This reinforces confidence in the justice system. It puts beyond doubt Ms Folbigg's conviction.
Now, a group of almost 100 prominent scientists have sent a petition to the New South Wales Governor, calling for Folbigg to be pardoned and freed from prison. Respected scientists including Peter Doherty, Elizabeth Blackburn and Fiona Stanley are among the signatories.
So the first 2 ones are from the single cell extraction, and the other one.
Professor Carola Vinuesa was an expert witness in the 2019 inquiry and signed today's petition, which argues each child's death can be explained by medical causes.
What the petition is ultimately asking for is the release of Kathleen Folbigg from jail.
The petition was sparked by a study led by Professor Vinuesa, conducted after the trial and inquiry, which found evidence of a rare genetic mutation in 2 of the children.
So we found a mutation in the gene CAM2 in the 2 female Folbigg girls, and the experts in cardiac genetics now believe that this was the likely cause of the death of Laura and Sarah. So this technology was not around when the case was first before the court in 2003.
Lawyer David Wallace assisted researchers in the study.
These are, really big names in science. You've got 2 Nobel laureates, you've got former chief scientists, you've got the president of the Academy of Science. These people don't ordinarily lend their name to things like this.
He's one of the signatories on the petition and a co-author in the scientific paper into the children's deaths. He says Folbigg was convicted on circumstantial evidence, including entries in her personal diary, rather than forensic medical evidence.
At the time, it was basically seen that such an event was so rare it was virtually impossible. 1 Sid's death's a tragedy, 2 is suspicious, and 3 is murder until proved otherwise. Since that time, genetics has improved dramatically. The consensus of the 90 scientists was that this is sufficiently compelling that it's reasonable to ask for a petition asking for an immediate release.
I've expressed the view previously that Mrs. Folbigg was appropriately convicted of the offences for which she's serving sentences.
Nicholas Cowdery was the New South Wales Director of Public Prosecutions at the time of the Folbigg case.
If the circumstances change, if the facts change, if the scientific developments alter the factual basis on which those convictions were made, then of course the whole process and those convictions need to be re-examined. Somebody famous once said, well, when the facts change, I change my opinion.
A spokesman for the New South Wales Attorney General said the petition will be given appropriate consideration. Separate to the petition, Folbigg's currently appealing the outcome of the 2019 judicial inquiry into her conviction in the New South Wales Supreme Court. A judgment is yet to be delivered.
We are very hopeful, as we've been many times over the years, but this is the first time that we've had science take the lead in a very important case. So ultimately for us, it would be a lovely thing if these 4 children could finally rest in peace.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.